Last night, respected industrialist Robert Sirius was found murdered. The only suspects, his own family. His wife, Clarissa Sirius, a gorgeous woman and sole heir to the Sirius fortune. Robert's first son and now new president of Sirius Industries, Jim Sirius, who always followed in his father's footsteps. Jim's wife and Robert's daughter-in-law, Natalie Sirius, greedy, manipulative, but has always stood by Jim's side. And Robert's youngest, Ox Sirius, an ex-professional quarterback who suffered a career-ending injury in the fourth quarter of last year's big game. Are any of these people capable of murder? The greatest detective the world has ever known, Lawrence Lazarus, has been called on to solve the case. This is Dead Sirius.
I apologize for calling you all here on Christmas Eve. There is a murderer on the loose, and that murderer is in this very room.
Explain yourself, Mr. Lazarus. Dragging me out, a grieving widow, to this ghastly house.
Now, there are pressing matters at hand. The murder of your husband and your father. I have reason to believe that the murderer is in this very room.
What makes you think the murderer is here, Mr. Lazarus?
Mrs. Sirius, your husband was beaten. He was stabbed, he was shot, strangled, poisoned, drowned, thrown down a flight of stairs, burnt, electrocuted, frozen, and then smashed by a sledgehammer. That's why I think it was murder. Somebody wanted to make sure he was dead. And that someone is here among us.
I don't need to take this. A woman of my stature doesn't deserve it.
It's funny you're trying to leave, Mrs. Sirius, because you're my #1 suspect.
Well, I never.
Explain this, Clarissa. Just one day after Robert Sirius makes you his sole beneficiary to the fortune, he winds up dead. It's a funny thing what greed can do to some people. It can drive them to do just about anything.
Oh, I would never hurt my husband.
So long as you didn't get caught?
You're lying.
Am I?
Yes.
Am I?
Yes.
Am I?
Yes.
Am I?
Yes.
Am I?
Well, that's preposterous.
I agree. This man is off his rocker.
Is he right? Is he lying, Mother?
Ox. Jim. There's something about your father I never told you. Something personal. I couldn't tell you.
Well, this can't be good.
You mean he couldn't?
Oh no. He's well equipped in that department. It was something more horrible than that.
Worse? What could possibly be worse than that?
He snored.
That doesn't sound bad.
Have you ever slept next to somebody who snores all night? Breathing in and out all night. It wasn't a normal snoring, it was deafening. I didn't sleep for 6 months now. It was driving me insane. But as terrible as my husband's snoring was, it wasn't bad enough to make me murder him. Close, though.
I thought I knew you, Mother.
It's a funny thing about knowing people, Jim.
What does that mean?
Oh, you know precisely what that means, Miss Natalie Sirius. Or should I say, Miss Natalie Sirius. Sirius?
What does that mean?
No. I'm not sure. He was probably stuttering.
She hasn't been entirely truthful with your brother. How well do you know your wife, Jim?
Well, quite well. The first day I saw her was the day we were married. It was love at first sight. Why do you ask?
Well,
You best be quiet, Mr. Lazarus.
Please be quiet, sir. For all our sakes.
You see, it's actually quite simple. Well, actually, no, it's not simple at all. Now that I think about it. Here we are. Before she was married to your brother Jim Sirius, she was married to your father, Robert Sirius.
Is it true, Natalie? Were you at one point married to my father? You look me straight in the eye and you tell me the truth.
I'm so sorry. I was going to tell you.
When? When were you gonna tell me?
Okay, so I never was going to tell you. But we're good now.
20 years. 20 years of our life is a lie.
Hey, I'm 20.
Now, Mrs. Sirius wanted to keep her marriage with Mr. Robert Sirius secret. So much so that she murdered him, hopes that her secret would die with him.
When I married Robert, he had several previous wives, but I never thought it would be my son's wife.
I wanted to kill him. I did. He threatened to tell you, Jim. Tell the whole family. His first wife turned out to be his first daughter-in-law. Ox being your brother as well as your stepson. It would have torn you apart, Jim. Guess you had to find out sooner or later. Wish it were under better circumstances.
I love you, Natalie. I don't care if you were my father's first wife or the mother of my son-in-law brother. I forgive you. I love you.
Jim.
So you did murder him, didn't you, Mrs. Sirius?
No! But I couldn't bring myself to do it.
I believe you, Natalie. I believe you didn't do it.
So do I, mothers.
You're right. In the manner of which Robert Sirius was murdered, it doesn't add up. Neither Mrs. Sirius or Mrs. Sirius would be physically capable of doing it. He was pummeled in such a way that the person would have to be as strong as an ox.